Today's guest is one of Europe's most accomplished distance runners, Julien Wanders, known for his bold decision to move to Kenya and fully immerse himself in the East African training style. Julien holds the European record for half marathon at 59 minutes and 13 seconds. He has competed with the best in the world, redefined what's possible for European road runners, and inspired a generation of athletes to embrace high mileage altitude training. In this conversation, we dive into his journey, the mindset behind his performances, and what it really takes to run with the world's best.
Thank you very much for taking your time, Julien. It's absolutely an honor to have you here. You've been living in Kenya for the past few years. What made you choose coming from Switzerland to Kenya? It's a bit of a change, weather-wise and everything.
Yeah, so I was just out of high school, so I was 18 years old, and my dream was to be a professional runner. So I heard about Iten, I saw some videos, I read some book. So I finished high school, went here for 1 month training camp, and I fell in love with the place. So I decided to come back a little bit longer the next year, and then just decided, I think it's better I live here than in Switzerland. And for my training at first, and then I met my wife. So I had basically my whole life was here. Yeah.
What would you say would be a big difference? Because you obviously spent your youth training in Europe, in Switzerland. What would you say would be the difference in training between Switzerland and Europe and Kenya, like the different approaches?
The main difference, of course, for me was the group. So training here with group, it's just amazing. It's the level of the runners here is really high, and that's what I was looking for at first. And then, of course, the approach of training is different. It's more about how you feel. When you feel good, you push. When you feel less good, you rest. And that's how the Kenyans mostly work. And also the mentality of we don't set any limits. I like it, and that's what I learned the most here is your limit is only yourself.
There's actually one thing I've noticed talking to other athletes and kind of locals around here. They're super optimistic, and regardless of how old they are, I was talking to a few athletes who are 45, pushing 50, and they're like, I haven't run any fast times in the past few years, but next year is going to be a new year. Do you think it's like that with professional athletes as well, just the positivity?
Yeah. Most of them, they have faith. So it's really what is driving them is they believe. And of course, it will not work for most of them. But believing is the first step. Then, of course, you have to train very hard. You have to have a bit of chance. There's a lot of factors that into success. But I think believing is something that they have. And so optimistic that everyone wants to be a world champion. Yeah.
Do you think it's the mindset that sets apart the Kenyans, or the community spirit? What would you say would be a big pushing factor for Kenyans and the Iten itself?
Yeah, of course, mindset is one of their strengths, but it cannot explain everything, of course. I think the training that they do, like when you come to Iten, you see maybe, 2,000 runners trying to make it. Not everyone make it, so if you have a lot of people trying it, of course you will have bigger amounts that will succeed. Of course, the environment is very nice. You have a perfect temperature, you are in altitude, you have the group training. Also, most of them, they have been moving a lot when they were kids, so they already developed when they reach the 18 years old, 19 when they start training.
So they have a nice base coming into the sport.
I think compared to Europe at the moment, when they reach 18, they are already much more built up than us, or at least than the actual kids at the moment here.
Coming from Switzerland, there's obviously some altitude there as well with the mountains and all, but would you say there was a bigger jump for you coming to Iten? Were you still new to the altitude, entire way of training, or was that something you were familiar already?
Yeah, I'm from Geneva in Switzerland, so there is no altitude there, but I used already to go to training camp in the summer in St. Moritz, which is 1800 meters, so a bit lower. But I was used to altitude. But the most difficult for me here was not really the altitude, but most the hills.
How long did it take you to get used to the hills?
So a long time, because when I was younger, I was really thin. My body was really thin, so not much muscles. So it was really painful for me to run here. And it took me years to adjust. I'm still adjusting actually. I think some Kenyans are stronger than me in the hills. Now I really enjoy it. At first it was like a nightmare, but now I really enjoy.
And then when you come to the races, would you say the altitude, the hills, be a big deciding factor for being able to push, to kick?
Yeah, of course. it gives you a lot of strength, stamina, and here also we don't see, but the roads are not so stable. There's a lot of stones, so always you have to stabilize with the body. So all that made your body very strong. But also when I was in training, I had no idea what I could do in a race, because there's a big gap between what you do here in terms of pace and what you do in low altitude.
How do you find the difference between like training and running here and like the sea level? Because obviously like the oxygen level is much lower here. In terms of like pace adjustment, do you do any mental maths when you train here, or just go by effort?
No, it really depends. If I do my easy run in Iten, like it's hilly, the roads are not so good, so I don't mind, I just go with the feeling. But when I go, for example, to Moyseyev, Kaptuli, some flat roads and tarmac, I would say I run maybe 5 to 10 seconds slower per kilometer.
Okay.
So if I do a specific workout at marathon pace, I don't know, let's say my goal is 3:00 in the race.
Yeah.
I will run 3:05, 3:07, something like that.
Okay, so it's like 5 to 10 seconds.
Yes, yes.
And then you touched upon like the marathon and the marathon pace, and obviously the half marathon when we ran 2019, the European record. Going into that race, did you know I'm in the peak condition, or did you just kind of see as you were like running?
No, I knew I was in good shape, and at the time I was very confident because I was breaking records after records. My goal was actually to run under 59 minutes that day. I did not manage, but I ran a really good race. It was really good condition. I had a group. I ran with someone until almost the last part. So everything was like made for me to break a record. And it was an amazing feeling.
Would you say like that would be the best feeling in your life so far, the greatest memory?
Yeah, one of the best, I would say. Because of course when you have worked hard and you cross the line and you finally achieve what you have been working for is nice. But I had some other races that also some other records, some race in Switzerland that I won. That's also one of my best memories, yes.
Leading up to that half marathon record, what was your training like? Weekly mileage, what were you kind of aiming to hit?
Weekly mileage at the time was, I would say, around 180, maximum 190. And I remember I was going pretty fast also for the easy runs, like especially in the morning. Easy runs were around 3:45 pace in Iten.
Yeah.
And workouts, nothing like really impressive, but I was so consistent for years. And I think that's what's paid at the end of the day.
You said 3:45 for easy runs in the 10. That is like extremely fast.
Yeah, it was, if I'm honest, I don't think it was really easy, but my body was just recovering so fast that like I could almost push every day. So I was doing 3 sessions a week, sorry. The remaining days were easy, moderate, but my body was just recovering, and I was in top shape.
So in terms of like your weekly training split, how would like Monday to Sunday look for you?
So I basically took a little bit from the Kenyan regime. So Monday is easy, 2 times. So morning will be typically 15-16K in the morning, afternoon 8 to 10 with some sprints. Tuesday will be track or fat leg. Wednesday easy again, Thursday track or fat leg, Friday easy, Saturday long run. Sometimes fast, sometimes just long. Sunday just easy in the forest, like 18K.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like what would your long run be at that stage? Like how long would you aim for?
So long run at the time was either, like I said, long and moderate, so 30 to 35K. I did some 40s, but mostly 35.
Okay.
And at 340, 330 pace, that is moderate, on hilly course.
Yeah.
And then the one I really like to do was 25K progressive. So I would start, I was in Moyseyev, so more flat. We will start at 325 up to 30, 255 towards the end.
I think actually when I was here at my last training camp, I think I seen you do one of those progressive runs. Because we were starting off at the start of the Moyseyev Road, and then like yourself and your group just like sprinted past us.
Yeah, it's possible, yeah.
So you described your kind of training routine, 190K, and you mentioned you copied a lot from the Kenyan regime. How different was your training regime when you were younger?
It was not so different. Of course, I was younger, so I was not training 2 times a day.
Yeah.
I think until I was 18, maybe at 17, 16, I was training maybe 7 to 8 times a week. But I think I was doing 2 or 3 sessions a week also. but not the same days, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, because my club was those days. Yeah.
You were part of the Ineos 159 team. How was that experience, seeing like the record being like broken like earlier going so 2 hours?
That was a great experience. Yeah, it was just so much inspiration, and like Elliot is a big inspiration for me, and to be able to attend the one of the biggest events in running was amazing. I was still quite young, and yeah, I just remember when he crossed the line, it was like a bit emotional. Everyone was really happy for him, and yeah, it was at the end of teamwork, and I will always remember that day for sure.
I was looking at the documentary about it, and the preparation was like months and months in advance. There was like an 80-person team. Did you have a special preparation for that as well?
No, for us, some pacemaker I think went to the course like a few months before, but for me no, I just went there 1 week or a few days before the race just to practice the transition, and yeah, training, we know how to train for endurance for that kind of race. So for us it was not really hard because it was 5k to do. For me, I did only one 5k at 250 pace. Some did up to 3 times. It was more about bonding with the other teammates. Yeah.
You've mentioned a lot of teamwork in Kenya in your training group, in Ineos project. Do you think one of the big factors for improving and progressing is having the team around you, or being more just the personal characteristics, more being like hardworking, talent, that kind of stuff?
Of course you need both, but me, I believe really in teamwork. Also mentally it's much more easy to have a team around you, because some days you will feel tired, and you need someone like even not motivated so much, that's just to have a group, or for especially for marathon, I would say those long sessions, those long runs, it can really help you to step up. But maybe some are different. I see, for example, Jacob training mostly alone, but he still has someone with the bike, and yeah. But for me, I really believe that the team can help you. Yeah.
What would you say are the key factors for making a great athlete? Is it kind of talent? Is it hard work? Is it just a combination of a few other things?
Talent you need. I mean, it's a fact. What is talent? We can discuss a long time. I really believe that most people developed when they are young, kids.
Yeah.
So what you do between 3 years old to 12 years old can also really define what you will do in the future. If you move a lot, I'm not saying running, but if you do a lot of sports, here they have no choice. Some to run, to go to school. That will develop you and make you a talented runner at the end of the day. And then of course hard work, because also the problem I notice is the very talented people, unfortunately they are lazy because it's too easy for them. So they don't want to work hard. So most of the time it's a balance, and the main factor also is consistency. You can work hard for 2 months and be strong, but after sometimes it will not work. So you have to be consistent for years.
When it comes to kind of races, the kind of race strategy, do you rely on race plan that you had beforehand, your intuition in the race, or just adapt by the race, how things go?
Yeah, I'm not really good in race strategy. I like to listen to my body, and I'm kind of aggressive in race normally. I try to change a bit because going to marathon is a different task, and yeah, most of the time I'm very aggressive, so I like to start fast and see if I can maintain the pace, and yeah, it worked for me. Also, a lot of races did not work for me that way, but my problem is I'm not really patient. I'm learning, but it's hard. So when there is a move, I like to follow, and so most of the time I discuss a strategy before with my coach, but I don't follow it.
But you you have to kind of listen to your body, but like one big element of racing, especially marathons and half marathons, is the mental part, because like you mentioned earlier, it does get very, very difficult, especially towards like the later stages. Do you have any mental tricks or kind of mental tools that you use to keep pushing through and just keep hammering?
One good thing that works well is to cut. When you start a half, don't say I have to go to the finish line. Just say I have to go to 5k, I have to go to next to 8k, then you split the race into many parts.
Small little chunks.
Yes, so you can you can push to the next part and push to the next part, and yeah, of course after you have to also keep your goal in mind. But at some point the brain is smart that he'll find some trick to avoid, try to relax. So yeah, I think splitting the race into many parts is a good way.
Yeah. I said before as well, it's like regardless of just a race or any task, it could be very overwhelming. For a lot of people, marathon is just a huge distance. So just like breaking it down into small chunks that you can kind of comprehend. Everyone can manage a 5K or like a 2K interval. So like it's easier to mentally just go through that, like you mentioned yourself. And you mentioned the marathon. This is going to be a third one coming up. How did you find this switch from the half marathon to the full marathon?
At first I thought it was almost the same distance, like you just have to increase a bit in the sessions, but it's a different event actually. The first time I did the switch, like all the long specific session was really hard for me to finish, just because the energy was finished before the end of the workout. Now it's much better. Now I started in January and I can handle the mileage, and the mileage is actually a bit bigger. I'm actually doing around 220 per week.
Okay.
But also the sessions that are longer, the long runs that are 40K, I can finish it well. And I think, the biggest challenge is really the extension of training, and to be able, you accept to go slower because it's not the same pace, it's slower, but you really have to go longer, and day after day the fatigue is there, you still have to keep going, and that is it.
Did you find the switch from doing like 180, 190K weeks to 220 very, very difficult, or was it something you were able to adopt within a month?
Yeah, the first time I did the switch, so when I prepared Paris 2022, it was hard for me. I thought it would be easy actually, but it was really hard, and I was very tired every day. But now, as I said, since this year, I did the switch again, and it's not easy, but it's manageable, and I even feel like I can do even more than 220. So I think it's a good sign.
That's definitely a good sign. Yeah. Change in pace goes slightly slower. Is it like a huge difference or just a few seconds?
No, it's not a big difference. But let's say now if I do 10 times 1,000, I used to do 10 times 1,000. I don't know, in 250 or 248, something like that. Now I'm struggling a little bit at this pace, but I will do 15 or 20 times at 255.
Okay.
So slower, but I can
get more
do
volume,
almost double. Yeah.
15 times for 1K will be like one of your main sessions, or do you have any other go-to sessions for marathon?
No, I actually don't do normally 1,000s at the moment. I did longer reps. So last time I did 10 times 1,600, which is around 16K. Yeah. But the real specific sessions are on the road. For example, 4x5K with 1K off in between. In total, it's 24K.
What would you be aiming for the 5K? What kind of time?
Yeah, so the marathon pace minus the altitude, so around 305. Nice. And then 1K off is still a good pace, like 330, 340. So at the end, it's a continuous workout. Yeah.
Would you adjust your easier ones? You switch over to the marathon training, or is like the easier ones be very much the same, regardless of what race you're training for?
Now I have changed a bit. I really listen to my body now. I don't set any pace before. So on Monday, normally we are still fresh, so we go like 350, sometimes 345. But in between the sessions, as the sessions are a bit more demanding, I would say, we go more like 4:0, 4:10 pace. Okay. And in the afternoon, always we go normally easy, like 4:20, 4:30, even sometimes 4:40, just relaxing pace. Yeah.
And you touched on recovery there. You mentioned earlier how like when you were training for your half marathon record, you were just like recovering like never before. Now with higher mileage, the recovery is slightly more difficult, also like with age. Do you have any recovery tricks or strategies or things that you know that will be kind of your go-to?
So after hard session, I always take proteins as fast as I can. So I have protein shakes. I try to eat very well, very good food, but here it's very easy. Yeah. The food is so healthy. Also, the most important is actually to sleep well. So if I don't sleep well, I can notice very fast that my body is not recovering. So I sleep around 9 hours per night, and I do 1 or 2 naps
during the day.
In the day. After, of course, massage 3 times a day. 3 times a week. I try to do some stretching and some It's not much complicated actually, but mostly, yeah, in between training, just relaxing as much as you can. Yeah.
It's just getting the basics like, correct and
Yeah.
getting them correct consistently.
Yeah.
Is gym a big part of your training?
It's important because especially the last few years I had quite a lot of injuries, and so I kept doing a lot of gym, like normally at least 2 times a week, with heavy weights. And now that I have a lot of mileage, I reduced a bit, but I try to maintain once a week, and sometimes just some core sessions during the other days. Yeah.
If you were kind of go back to your younger self, would there be any things that you would advise to yourself or say like, to do differently?
Yeah, just for me, as I said, I'm not patient, so just to be more patient and to be confident that everything will fall into places. Sometimes I just see this like not far, and I don't see the long term, so I want to achieve everything now. Yeah, I was sometimes rushing too much, and it cost me some good results, I think, especially in championships. Yes.
So more patience.
More patience, yeah, and more confidence also.
And just like one more last question. So like a lot of aspiring athletes would be looking up to you and other kind of athletes who will be training here in Iten. What would you recommend or advise to these young athletes?
Yeah, I would say that they have to have one goal that they want to achieve, and yeah, to be ready to overcome challenges, because it will not be easy, and it can take like 1 year, 2 years. It can take also 10 years. So to be patient and to believe that it will happen, but not just yeah, to have one way to reach it, but to be open-minded.
Be flexible.
Yeah, be flexible. Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Julien, and best of luck in your next marathon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.